Okay, moving on to item 7, we've moved number E up to A, and then with Molly Scott being here with regard to Kids World, we'll put her at position B. So we'll make that change. So if we could, we've each received a copy of the current animal control ordinance. And I think we received a copy of Lakeview's animal control ordinance. We're just looking from the council some guidance on where to go. And we certainly welcome any input.
I think Webb wants to talk about. Here's your time, Webb. No, Wimpy. You want to talk about the animal control?
I can't hear you.
You want to talk about the animal control?
Yeah.
Your turn.
Go right ahead, Wimpy, if you'd like.
Is there a limit on the cats?
Is there a limit on the cats?
Currently, there is not.
No.
One of the things that I am asking the council to consider this evening is what they would like to do on that particular matter. Not only for cats, but for dogs, ferrets, rabbits, weasels, guinea pigs, and hamsters. Thank you. To give you an idea of what Lakeview does, Lakeview does have a chapter within their code, 5514, which is number of animals. But when you read through it, there isn't any type of a hard line number in it. It reads, and I'll just read you the beginning of it in the way it explains it. No person shall harbor or maintain such a number of dogs or cats or combination thereof to create unhealthy or unsanitary conditions for the humans or animals occupying the premises. So as you can see, where it does talk about a particular number of animals, it does not go into any specifics on any hard lines. One thing I would like the council to take into consideration as we talk about number of animals is the prospects of litters. In particular, one of the things you may consider an exemption for is particularly young animals, so that you don't get in the way of litter issues. One of the things that's been proposed to us, and Lakeview, of course, has this type of program. That's one of the reasons why I requested a copy of their ordinance, is it has been suggested to us that we may entertain a licensing program as a means of providing more control, more monitoring of animals. I can see positives and negatives to this both. I worry about the enforcement apparatus to this type of activity, and I'll ask John to talk on that a little bit. But as far as the licensing process it goes, is after a particular age of an animal or particular meeting of residency requirements, then you would require an animal of the particular types that we mentioned before to be licensed with the city for monitoring and control purposes. That prevents people from having excessive amounts of animals at a particular house. However, my particular concern is, and it has been brought up by more than one person, is that you can deal with a situation where those who are violating it aren't going to come in and seek the licenses. There would be methods that you could, one of those suggestions was you could set up a program that if they have a state kennel license or seek a state kennel license, they could exceed any type of caps that we might put on the amount of animals that you have at your home. So I guess you could separate the two issues and look at them independently, or you can look at them together. One would, of course, be requiring some kind of a licensing control mechanism, and then the other one would be putting some type of a capping mechanism on the amount of those type of animals that you allow in a household.
I think Whip has a concern. He talked to me before. That one of your neighbors got like 30, 40 cats or something.
Yeah. In a house.
Close to 100.
Now, somebody else talk about it. I can't hear everything.
I'd like to address that when I have a chance too.
Well, I'll try to do it.
Sure, go right ahead.
Well, I think we're all talking about the same house. We know where it is on 10th Street there. But one time there, I understand from the family that there were over 80 cats in one house. And the one right next to me had at least 30. They weren't sure how many there were. I think that issue has been resolved this last week. The person is no longer, well, he's in a psychiatric facility now, and the cats are gone. But I'd like to propose several of the things you've already mentioned, Adam. I just have some things jotted down here if you let me say them. I'd also like to possibly, I could suggest that no property owner be allowed to keep animals confined or otherwise on a residential property that is not occupied. Both these houses have been vacant. I don't think anybody in their right mind would keep this many animals in a house they were living in. So I think by putting that clause into an ordinance would probably eliminate this kind of thing from happening in the future. There's residential neighborhoods, there's no place for a shelter or a kennel or anything like that. I think we just need to get that in and keep that situation from happening. And I agree there should be a maximum number of domestic animals allowed to be kept. I don't know what it is. I am certainly not going to make a suggestion, but I know it should be less than 30. Maybe it should be related to the size of the animal, maybe fewer dogs, then you would have the smaller animals, whatever. And I think that also, regardless of the number of animals allowed, the owner or tenant of that property should be required to keep the facilities clean, not allow animal feces or urine or food remains to accumulate and cause odor or health concerns or attract vermin. This is what happened in these houses. There was just an incredible stench coming from the mess in there. You would not believe it. I wish I had some pictures to show you. It was simply unbelievable, the mess in the house. Also, I think the animals should not be allowed to create excessive noise to the rest of the people passing on the property nearby. You get that many animals of any size, you can create a nuisance. I'm a pet owner. I have 3 cats, they're indoor cats, and responsible pet owners aren't going to be affected by an ordinance like this. I think we're going to take care of their animals in an appropriate method. Speaking to the issue of licensing, I don't think that's necessary. I think all you're going to do is simply encumber those responsible pet owners. I agree that there's going to be enforcement issues. How do you know whether somebody's licensed or not? I just don't see that having much effect on a situation like this, because people don't have to register. I mean, they aren't going to license them if they intend to abuse it. I just think that's an unnecessary provision. I think if we get clear, uncomplicated regulations that allow the law enforcement people to respond quickly and effectively to the problems as they arise, we can do that without any kind of licensing structure.
One of my particular current concerns, Lakeview's code, the portion I read earlier, is that everyone's definition of number of cats or dogs that create an unhealthy or unsanitary condition could differ, and that enforcement of that particular type of code could become very troublesome in a court of law. So that's one particular concern I have about the open-endedness of that type of ordinance without.
But if we put a number in, that would be
very slick.
That's what our neighborhood would kind of like to see, is a number, just a flat-out number.
Any suggestions?
I'd say less than half a dozen or
3.
You know, I mean,
3.
that's what
3. You're going to have a lot of people fighting that one. Of course, I have a litter. I've got one. But if it's a litter, well, then you've got 3 kids. One.
I think in our old ordinance wasn't 6, was it 4?
They should.
Initially 4, then it went to 6, and
We have one, but we have 2.
6 animals or 6?
total animals.
That's excluding, of course, fish.
Up until a certain age, and I believe I'm running a 6-month-old, I'm referring to the litters, to have them get rid of it.
And if it's not an occupied house, I don't think you should have anything
Should
or a garage.
Yeah, garage. Yep. None.
Well, you had over 300 out of early.
Yeah, 300 in the country in a house. Oh, no, trashed.
I would suggest 6.
6 total, and then
6 total.
like 3 months, or how soon can you release a cat or a dog from its litter?
About 3 months.
3 months. They'll put that in there because they have a litter. You can't. I like the idea of 6. I like the idea of 3 months.